is the best experience with your host, Nick Best and the Angry Dad. And before we get in today's podcast, before we get started, we definitely want to thank our sponsors, Barbell Apparel, premium athletic wear engineered for performance with a tailored athletic fit for refined clothing for that athletic body type. Nick is wearing one of the shirts, and man, you know what? They look good, feel good. I got a couple myself, and you know, the one thing I love about them is they don't shrink. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the main things when you buy shirts is, you know, being tall or being big, they shrink. And guess what? You can get hooked up at Barbell Athletic/Best and get hooked up with some Nick Best shirts. And look at their jeans, because Nick was squatting 700 pounds in those jeans.
750.
750. You know what I'm saying? Evolution Athletic Gear, supportive gear, created by a company by Brian Shaw, 4-time World's Strongest Man, with the belief in all athletes. And you know what? To support the journey, you got to have great gear, and Evolution Athletics has great gear. I have a soft belt. Nick has the full get up, and you know what? The shorts, the sleeves, the wraps, and you know what? They work good, feel good. You get hooked up. Use the link in the notes. It really helps us out.
It's all the best you can get your hands on, plain and simple.
Plain and simple. All right. Also, too, you know, I'm going to mention this every single time. If you want to be coached by Nick Best, he's a 10-time World's Strongest Man competitor, Masters World's Strongest Man, world champion powerlifter. And guess what? If you are a Masters lifter looking to take and evolutionize your training, you can get that training with Nick Best. Nick will help everybody out there. But you know what? We want to start helping these older guys that need to know how to train, when to train, and what to train. And you can get that experience from World's Strongest Man competitor, 10-time competitor.
Yeah, and how to last.
And how to last.
And how to keep it in one piece while you're doing it.
And that's what we're talking about. It's not. And you can get that. Use the link in the notes. You'll get an email from me once you fill out the form. And you know what? We can continue from there. With that all being said, let's get right into the show. There's a lot of things that come up in training. There's a lot of things that come up in competition. And, you know, Nick has, you've seen the highest of highest levels. You know what I'm saying? You've been to the big show many times, you know, and there's a thing, like, I see you train, I watch you train, I record you training. And, you know, there's a respect that you have to give the weights. And sometimes you see people on the internet, and you know, they're just squatting to squat, lifting to lift, and there's, you know, you can't tell how much respect there is for the weights, because sometimes, you know, people just do things that hurt themselves. But one of the things that I always see you in training is you take yourself, you have to take yourself to that next level, because like first, before we even trained, you warned me. You were like, look, once I get into this mode, I'm not mad at you, I'm not upset with you, I'm just letting you know directly that quiet, no talking, no laughing. This is 100% serious. Flip switch. I'm on. You know what I'm saying? And just, you know, like I said, that's something that I've never really been around, because I've always been around people where it's just distraction everywhere, and as we're training and stuff like that. But the thing is that's not your style.
No, and the thing is I get used to focusing and getting in my own head. So if I have music at a contest, great. If I don't, also great. I can do it either way. And it's more important you have the ability to get your head into the right place without external situations or without external stimulus. Because what happens if something goes wrong? What happens if you break your phone? What happens if people don't have Walkmans anymore. Just dated myself. or portable CD players that much anymore.
Anti-skip.
Yeah, so basically it's your phone. If you break your phone and all of a sudden you don't have your music, what are you going to do?
Yeah, no headphones, no charger, dead battery.
Yeah, so something can always go wrong. But the thing is, if you get used to not having that, and you can get in your head and you can turn the switch on and you can turn it off. When I go to start wrapping my knees for a squat, you know, you can get killed in the squat. I mean, if something goes wrong, you can go straight down to the floor. And, you know, God forbid anything like that were to happen, but I'm very focused on what I am doing and how I am doing it at that point. There's nothing that's erratic or out of control. I'm like a smoldering volcano that I save my eruption for the moment I go to push up on the bar. Everything else is control and focus to that final just explosive burst of power. And then you just ride it out, get to the top, and then coming back in and settle back down, because you don't want the bar springing all over the place at the top either. That's bad for your spine and will do damage to you in the long term. So it's explode out of the hole, put the brakes on as you get to the top so you don't jerk all over the place, and then put it in the rack and come out from underneath the bar. This banging your head into things and doing all that stuff. I mean, if you want to be a little bit of a showman and you know going in it's not going to mess up your head, okay, I can understand putting on a show for a crowd, but really, honestly, put on a show when you're done. You know, nothing looks worse than a dude go out there going, banging his head, bleeding, and then misses the lift. And it's like, oh, it goes walking off. You know, that doesn't, it's not a good look, but you get the thing done, you get a little celebration, or you're just like, yeah, done that before. Now time to go get ready for the next lift. Maybe on your third and final lift, you let it go and let everybody know how excited you were about that. But it's about, yeah, I've been here, I've done that, and that's what is expected. And at the end, when I perform well, I'm going to celebrate a little bit, but I got to get ready for the bench after that. And then same thing with the bench, and then the deads. My last dead, I'll celebrate for a while. When I know I'm done, it's good to go. It's that lift's over, we're done. But the focus on everything, not wasting any energy, putting it out over here and just scatter all over the place like a shotgun blast. I would rather come out and be, I don't know, maybe you got to compare it to a gun, like a Barrett, you know, straight, focused, and coming out hard that will go through the next 5 buildings. That's how I'm coming out and exploding off into the squat or into the deadlift or into the bench when I'm lifting. And it's very focused. I don't want to waste energy. I don't want to waste my mental energy. I want everything to fire as one cohesive unit, not just come out there blind rage and anger or whatever the guys do and kind of be all over the place, because that's in the end what will cause damage, and they'll eventually pay for that. You'll miss lifts you should have gotten.
Yeah, and see, and that's the thing is like, you know, that transition. I haven't had an opportunity to see you. Like, I've seen you compete numerous times on TV, but I have not seen you compete in live action. And you know, like there's where the variables are, because like I said, depending if there's loud music, depending on the roar of the crowd, how close close everyone is to the stage, there's a lot of little things happening. And so it's like you know, it's like, you know, being used to like everyone quieting down. Everyone knows what to expect as you start getting to these heavy lifts and pulling these singles. And you know, and so it's that transition that a lot of, like, you know, it's applying what you've just done in all this amount of training leading up to the big show. And as you're in the big shows, like, do those variables, you know, like does it affect you, or are you completely drowning everything out and you can't, you're completely blinders on?
Okay. Easiest way I could kind of explain how that goes through me. I mean, I'm aware the crowd's there, but when it's time to go, you put that to the side. For the love of the game, Kevin Costner movie, baseball, he's a pitcher.
Yeah, great movie.
To drown out everyone. And I get this because I used to pitch. And when he said clear this and throw at the mitt, you know, that's what I did. I would ignore everybody that's there, and I would throw it with everything I had at the mitt, even though I was a little kid doing that. That's how I had to do it, because if I paid attention to other people in the crowd other than the catcher, you know, I'm going to be thrown over here or thrown over there. I want to go straight what I'm aiming for. So same type of thing. You just clear the vision, clear the field, and focus on the one thing, like you're the only thing there. You still know in the back of your head everybody's there, just like he still knew in the back of his head, but he would clear everything and just do that one specific thing. And it's how I handle things when I'm competing.
Yeah, no, and it's good competing. You know, and one of the things that I do notice,
guys would get messed up first time they got a camera on them.
Yeah, you know, and then that's that pressure. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about.
10, 20, 50, 100 million people. It can sit in your head a little bit. The thing you got to realize is you can't worry about what everybody else is going to think, because guess what? You're in a place where only 30 people out of the 8 billion that are walking the planet are getting to anyway. So there's not a whole lot of people sitting watching. They're going to be able to do better than what you were. So just go out and give it everything that you have and leave it all on the field.
Yeah. See, and like I said, that's like the experience, you know what I'm saying? Like a lot of times I'm always trying to cater to the new, because like I said, I'm not new to strongman and I'm not new to powerlifting, but I'm new to the professional stage, as in like watching you and being there with you, and and just experience everything happening, because it's basically like new to me, because I've never seen it in person. I've never been there in person. But now that I'm starting to be at that caliber or level of watching, and it's like it's seeing the differences between everyone happening from like this year alone when we went to strongman, Jocko's first year, he fire out the gate, but then something happened, and then when it happened, you know what I'm saying? That's the thing. And then you see like people who've been there before, been at the show, and understand to like ignore everything else and just handle your job. You know what I'm saying? Not being overwhelmed.
Right. I mean, you're there for a reason. And if you're worried about beating other people, you're going to struggle. If you're worried about beating your best performance and just bettering yourself every time you walk out there, eventually you're going to end up beating everybody. And that's all you got to worry about. It took a while to get that out of Justin, because I mean, Justin's goal is to beat me in training, and you know what? It's fine.
And Justin's a young buck that's Dick's training partner.
Yeah, one of them. And it's like, dude, if you beat me, I want you to beat me. I'm not worried about it. I'm worried about how I perform. And it used to be when we first started training together, we'd worry about beating me, and then he would end up hurting this, hurting that, hurting his back, trying to do, a 900-pound yoke when he probably should just be sticking with the 700 for a while, and he'd mess up his upper back. And it's just like, dude, just because you're not controlling it well, you could tell it's too heavy, but you want to try to keep up with me. Don't keep up with me. Just keep getting better. Eventually, you're going to do better than I am.
Yep.
You can see it coming, and his deadlift is coming right along. He'll probably pull 730, 740 at some point this year. It'll probably be another year. By the time he's 30, he'll be able to out deadlift me with no problem. It's don't tell him I said that.
if Justin, if you're listening, just disregard the last couple of minutes.
I don't want you getting a big head or nothing. And, I mean, his squat's coming along really good too. I mean,
he just set a state record, I believe.
Yeah, he did. So it's kind of like he's progressing, he's moving along and stuff like that, but he just needs to worry about doing better than what he did last time. That's all he's got to worry about. Eventually, if he keeps putting in the hard work and keeps staying focused and staying on that and not getting, things that would mess up his life or mess up his training and stuff like that, and just stay focused on what he's doing, he'll be a world level power lifter inside of 4 or 5 years. Like, that's it. Elite level.
Yeah, I can't remember if it was on this podcast or I was listening to a different podcast you were doing where you were talking about incrementally adding 5 pounds per like almost year or like every training cycle, and then next thing you know you're at that elite level. You know what I'm saying? Just by making these small jumps.
It is. It's 33 pounds of lift. So for squat, bench, and deadlift, if you put 33 pounds on each one of those lifts every single year, that's it. No more. You don't need to go more. But if you do 33 pounds on every single lift every year, in 3 years, that's 300 pounds. And if you're already totaling 1,700, that puts you in the 2,000. You do that again, another 2-3 years, you go 2,300 pounds. That's world-class elite level powerlifting. That puts you in the mix to win the world championship and to win the national championship and to win the worlds and to be up there with the best guys walking the planet. And that's a very achievable thing to do. Everybody's so focused on getting there fast. And it's like, don't worry about getting there fast. Just worry about getting there and then leaving when you're ready to leave. That's the thing. When you feel like you're done being at the top, then you can step back. But you're not going to step back because you got hurt or couldn't last. I mean, I'm going into this 27th or 28th. I mix up the years now of squatting over 800 and deadlift or totaling over 2,000. I'm coming up on 30 years of doing that.
That's it.
So,
and that's over injuries, and that's like there's a lot of things that you've had to overcome to get even
to getting it fixed, getting a kidney hernia repair, wrist issue where I had blood vessel problems, stuff like that, and little tears and stuff like that. If you're pushing yourself to a world elite level, you're going to break something at some point.
Mm-hmm.
It's how well can you rehab it? How well can you heal, come back, rehab, and get to where you were and exceed that again? That's how you get people that can really figure things out. And it's not rocket science, but it's not easy either. So, because if it was easy, everybody'd be doing it.
Yeah, exactly. It requires that work. Yeah.
Yeah. So many guys pick up a couple decent injuries and they're toast. They're done. It's over.
And then also too. Stuff. Yeah, that's the one thing that I definitely admire and appreciate what you've done, because like I've seen you like had the surgeries. I've seen you like get hurt or pull something, or even like dropping the bar, and you're like, I can't do this yet. I can. Like, you're like, I can pull heavy, but I'm not ready to pull heavy. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot to say when you have to throttle back. And, and I would say 90% of the people out there will not throttle back.
Exactly. And you got to know how to read that and know how to bring it along. This week, I pulled 485 for 20 on my deadlift. So I'm like, well, I said I'd go to 500, but it's 45 is close enough.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that bad. So, but now I followed that, which you guys will see because we haven't put the YouTube video up yet.
Not yet.
But I did block pulls after that, and I went up to 705 on block pulls, and I pulled a set of 10 with that. And the range of motion wasn't that. It was from the top of my knee just to lockout position. But I'm bracing my abdomen again. And you can see on the first one, I'm like, I'm at any minute, if I felt anything funny, I was ready just to put the bar down.
Drop it.
And once I got to the top, I'm like, okay, it's not going to be an issue. And then I pop off 9 more. It's testing it. It's building it. It's going a little further each time. And if it's sore, back off a little bit and let it heal up again, then take it back again. And you got to play that fine line, and you can't be worried about the calendar, the clock, or anything like that. I picked a meet September 24th that I want to compete in.
Yeah.
If I'm not where I think I should be going into that meet, like I could injure myself, then I'll back off and pick another one later on in the year or the beginning of next year. I will get back on the platform. I will compete again. But I got to do it when it's ready. Now, turning off the lat, 50 weeks later, I came back and pulled 744 again. So, which, it's bad. So now I just have to get over the abdominal thing, which I'm just going to be cautious with it. And I don't even think it'll be the 50 weeks that it took for the lat. I just have to make sure I bring that and advance it at a rate that it's going to sustain and keep getting stronger from.
Yeah, no, that's definitely, like I said, and it's the hardest thing, because like it's training, discipline. It is discipline, and that's the thing is like there people feel they have discipline, but the thing is discipline's all around life. It's not just training discipline; it's mind, body, and soul discipline. Where it's like, okay, I know I can do this, but guess what? Can I do this? And that's the thing is like the amount of discipline that I've seen you have in the way that things are treated. It like I said, it's a glimpse into the mind of the pro, and that's you being a pro, you being a professional, especially for as long as you've been doing this, and how many people are really in the shape that you are in to continue doing this,
Well, I feel very blessed that I've been able to do the things that I've been able to do. But as anything, if you're not working at it, am I as physically gifted as Brian Shaw? No. Am I as physically gifted as Hopdoor? No. Eddie? No. But do I have the will and determination and planning to get after it? Yeah. And I have fun doing it. and I enjoy the process. And you make a plan and you execute the plan. When you're coming back from an injury, you have to make a plan, but the plan has to be, it has to have give in it, where you push forwards a little bit or back off a little bit, but it has to be methodical. Mm-hmm. You have to execute each one before you move on. And if you need to back off a little bit and reaffirm that a couple weeks in a row, and then take that next step forwards, well, then that's what you have to do. And if that means resting an extra day, then that means resting an extra day. If that means not going to concerts or hockey games or whatever, and eating a good dinner and getting a good night's sleep instead, then that's what that means.
Yep.
And that's the hardest part to take. And that's the hardest part pretty much on the family and your spouse and your kids and everybody else, because that's a hard, very difficult thing to manage when you have children and you have a family. Single guy, I mean, it's not as hard to live with, but nobody wants to be by themselves.
Yeah, when you have obligations like that with family, it's hard to like I said, when you're at the professional level, it's not a more understandable, but it's like it's more in the forefront of like, oh, okay, he has to do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, a lot of guys will go out and they'll go ride at the dunes, or they'll go do this, or they'll go do that, and they're out having a lot of fun. But my fun is going to the contest and performing well. That's my fun. That's what I like to do. I like to go out and just perform and execute. And that's where my fun is. I like traveling. The cool part is I get to do Vegas next time, but I like traveling around the country or around the world and going and showing up and executing and doing things that nobody thought I could do. It's fun.
Yeah, it's crazy. One of the things that you always constantly repeat and that you always constantly say, which, like I said, I'd never even thought about it until you really started like talking about it. But the thing is, you always constantly reaffirm what you're saying to me about it. And that's resting your tendons and recovering the tendons. Because, like I said, we're all considering muscle. We're all trying to build muscle. We're all trying to like do these things. But the thing is like, I've never actually and I've had those days where my joints felt sore, but I never understood why they were. I was like, I did too much for the muscle. I did too much for the arm, but guess what? All that pressure I never really thought of like resting my joints to let the ligaments actually heal.
Yeah. You know what? It's a massive thing that everybody overlooks. I mean, it's really neat because next week, I'll just tell everybody now, Joe Ken is going to come on the show. He's an amazing, one of the best strength coaches walking on the face of the planet. I mean, he was the guy that, named Brian Gigantor. Or, well, maybe not, but he was, Brian actually, he worked under him as an assistant strength coach at Arizona State. He learned from him. He still coaches Brian to this day. And he's a great guy. He's an amazing lifter. And his proof's in the pudding. He'll go out and he'll train before all the other guys do. Because he doesn't feel he can tell you to go do something unless you do it yourselves. So he's going to be on the show next week. We talked to him in a few days here, and we'll do the podcast with him. But that's one of the things I want to pick his brain on, as well as Dr. Horshak from Squat University. I want to reach out to him fairly soon and see what he thinks. I'd like to get into a couple conversations with him because that guy's just a wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, I enjoy his videos.
Yeah, and he knows how to apply it from an actual competitor's point of view.
Yeah, and
which very few guys at that level really get it that right. He's hyper educated, and a lot of guys that are hyper educated really don't relate it well to the elite level lifters. He does. Yeah, and it's neat talking with him, and I mean he helped me out a lot with my lat and everything else that I've been through. So I'd like to reach out to him fairly soon as well.
Good. And if anyone on here listening to this podcast knows him, just let him know that we'll be trying to reach out to him.
Here's his number. I'll call him.
There you go. True. That'll help just as much.
But I don't like to bother people, but I think this would be a good thing for us to talk about, and like ice baths and stuff like that. He's brought stuff like that up because it's right after apparently slows down the healing process. But my point that I had to him is it doesn't really matter if it slows down the healing of the muscle over a couple of days, because muscles don't atrophy till 10 days after training. They don't start. Yeah. So as long as you work out in that time frame before 10 days, you're not going to get any weaker.
Yeah.
And people don't get that. They're concerned about, like, as soon as it's healed, working out again, but your connective tissue, no matter what you do, takes longer to heal because the blood flow and the nutrients going into your tendons and ligaments it doesn't go in as fast as it does with the muscle tissue.
Yeah.
And if you want to last over a long, long period of time, that's the key to it. I mean, up till popping my lat off, most of my injuries are muscle tears. Think about that for a minute. Mm-hmm. I haven't popped the tendons off. I tear the muscle fibers, so the tendon strength is more than the muscle. Most of the kids that get into this sport real fast and show up and get super strong, super fast, they pop tendons off the bones like it's going out of style. But
they haven't had that time to mature them.
Exactly. Or the time to let them heal and get the tendons stronger than the muscle instead of the other way around.
Yeah.
That's why you do super heavy partial movements as well, because it makes all that stuff get a lot stronger over time. So,
and see, and this is the general knowledge. Like I said, I get these tidbits from you. They're like breadcrumbs. You constantly lay them out there, and I catch them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I hear them, and I'm like,
I sound like a meathead, so people don't want to listen to me. And then I don't talk like a doctor.
Yeah.
And sometimes I can explain it, or it takes me a while to get it right in my head so I can get it out of my mouth to explain it to you. But there's a reason why.
Yeah. No, so. and that's the importance. Like I said, that's like why you even bringing this up, because like I said, I want people to understand, especially with a lot of stuff that I've been learning and watching you do, is the amount of mental focus that you need to apply to your training is at that level. Because like I said, any weight can hurt you. But the thing is if you take it serious and you put the focus into what you need to do, it will elevate your level of where you're trying to get to. You know what I'm saying? Because like a lot of us don't take it. A lot of us love to weight lift, but they don't take it serious enough. And I feel that's where the disconnect happens.
Well, and here's the other things: is there's certain things. My core lifts, my squat, my bench press, and my deadlift, very controlled. The form is perfect for my body type for me to do it, and I execute. There's other lifts, like when I'm training lats, for instance, that people on the internet like to tell me I have no idea what I'm doing. It's like, but I deadlift like between 8 and 850 when I'm feeling pretty good without too much of a problem.
Or lift stones off the ground.
When I'm doing low rows with 300 pounds for a set of 30, it's not that heavy. And my goal is to be quick and explosive. You can't be at a standstill and just go explosive. Nothing athletically you do. What do you do before you jump? You go down a little bit and then you jump up.
Yeah.
Everything you do athletically involves motion.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys, this is improper technique. And you're just like, no, for what I'm doing, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be explosive, and I want to rip stones off the ground. I want to grab a keg that's 330 pounds and rip it off the ground and go running down the street with it. Those aren't things you can train slow, especially when you're in a foot race with somebody trying to make it into the world's strongest man final.
Trying to do a 3-lift medley.
So it's kind of like there's certain things you can be explosive on. There's certain things like a power clean. If I do a power clean, I'm going to be super explosive on it.
Yeah.
I'm not going to drop down into a full front squat cleaning it that way because there's nothing I do that's that way.
Yeah.
But I'll pop it from my hips up, which will give me explosive power so that when I'm cleaning an axle or, doing a sandbag toss or something like that, I'm explosive. And that's how you need to train if you're going to be an athlete.
Yes.
If you're going to move and do things.
I can't remember if it was with Chad or who we were talking about, because this specifically, where they were trying to explain. I was like, we're not building, it's muscle atrophy, or because we were talking about, like, we're not building muscle. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like we're not, you're not sitting here trying to build this giant defined back. You're trying to build strength and power in your back.
The funny thing is your back ends up pretty darn big anyway.
Oh, it does.
I mean, I was excited when I was standing when we trained. I took that picture.
Yeah.
I was like, didn't realize my back was quite that wide.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the thing, is like, people feel like, I got a degree. I've been to the gym once. I'm a professional. Like there's so many people out there that will be like, I was like, everybody trains specifically different towards their body style, their sport, and what they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Nobody needs to.
And there's Henry Rollins.
Yeah.
He's like, education without mileage is bullshit. And that's what it is.
And that's exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Just because you read in a book someone else's opinion on how to do it, you still need to use their opinion, because there's things you can learn. The best way to learn from people is go talk to them.
Yeah.
And go to the biggest guy in the gym. Maybe you think he's doing something wrong, so you go ask him, or just watch him. And then when he's done, go, hey, I just want to ask, what are you doing that for? I'm just trying to learn. And most of the guys, for the most part, will stop and explain it to you if they have the time. Like,
exactly.
I got to drink my shake right now, and I'll just have a quick 2-minute conversation. Don't ask them a 3-hour question.
Yeah.
But ask them a 10-minute answer. A question that has like a 5 or 10-minute answer, you'll get it. Just be kind of focused on your questions. Don't ask somebody a question, be like, you just asked me something that's going to take me 2 hours to explain to you, because there's a lot that goes into it. But you can ask them why you're doing it that way. And I'd tell you, because I'm training for explosion. Yep. And I'm training to do as many reps as I can in, a minute, because that's what the parameters of what I do is. Yep. You have to clean and press a 330-pound axle as many times as you can in 60 seconds. Yeah. You have to be quick. You have to be explosive, and you have to do more than one, because one's not going to make it, which that's a bad example because I'm horrible at the axle. But,
but you still did
it. You still did it. But same thing with that, like deadlift for reps. Mm-hmm. I pulled 765 for 8 in 36 seconds in one contest. It's just getting in that rhythm and going. But you got to train to do that. You can't do this perfect little movement form thing that's bodybuilding or like a fitness figure physique type of thing. And you know what? If that's your thing, that's good.
That's
Enjoy it. Keep doing
stick to it. Yeah.
I wouldn't want you to stop for anything.
Exactly.
But I can still lift the way I want to lift.
Yeah. And get the results.
Running your mouth like you know better than I do.
Yeah, because let me tell you right now, when you've been to Worlds 10 times, when you're a powerlifting champion, then come talk. You know what I'm saying? Because that's what it comes down to. But just like the Henry Rollins saying, you got the experience. I've been there. I've done that. Well, Not at just the highest level, but
I've got the knowledge from what I've learned, and then I have the experience to back it up. So
that's it.
Yeah, and it's those things. I try not to be cocky. I try to be nice to people and stuff like that, even when they're fairly rude. And
that's my job. You know what I'm saying? I do step in and I will say things, you know what I'm saying? Because guess what, Nick? You're a nice guy, and I've never seen you want to upset anybody.
Well, it's part of being Buddhist. You're just not. I can't see being intentionally mean to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I can definitely see letting people know when they've done something that isn't right.
Yep.
and maybe not the softest of ways,
you know, but understand that I'm not Buddhist and I will say some things. And thank you, Chad, for always answering the call too.
Yeah, that's true too. Yeah. So, but for the most part, it's a lot of fun. I love this to death. I want to see other people, enjoy the sport as much as I do. And I just want to share what I do know and have people build on it and take it from where I left it.
That's what I'm talking about. Nick, give these people those beautiful words.
Well, coming up, we got Joe Ken coming up next week. So look out for that. He coached for the Panthers 8 years. He was, also Arizona State strength coach, and he coaches all the sports, not just one. So he's strength for next week. And until then, train hard, train smart, and be the best you can be.
You're listening to The Best Experience with Nick Beck.